Yeah, I heard something about the wrong windows ordered, were put in, but I didn't know which windows they were.
But they just wanted to get it open and, yeah.
There, it's nice, made it held up.
Everything will match for sure.
Whenever you wanna bring it up. Before mine,
Yeah, it's amazing.
yeah.
Yeah. Just let me
Yeah. Yeah.
Your
Mary?
car's gonna go off by themselves.
What
Lights
that,
in your truck gonna go off by themselves.
oh, those lights?
Mm.
Probably not. Go ahead, start.
We'll wait.
I think I can hire you for that.
I saw, Mayor Rhodes. Right? I don't want, not too hot.
Must go around. But it's not.
Hey, Mayor.
They read it. All right, it's a little after 5:30. Apologize by 1 minute. If you wouldn't mind to stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Aaron, did you get a chance to read the minutes of the last meeting?
Did I'll approve the minutes of the March 3rd meeting,
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Claims and allowances?
make a motion to approve the claims and allowances. last
Second,
meeting.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Bobby, you got an update for us? And
Actually, I have Greg.
Greg,
Welcome,
yes,
Greg.
sorry, I see him on there too.
Yeah.
Yes, welcome.
Well, thanks for letting us be here and give a little report here. I wanted to just talk a little bit about SIDC first before we talk about the land bank, and then we'll kind of get into that. Just to give you an update of what we've been up to over the last couple of years. That way you get a sense of like, when you buy into our organization, what you're getting in return for it. So, I put together this little effectiveness report is what I call it, and it just goes through all the different projects that we're working on in our 5-county area. So first off, I always like to highlight that we do a comprehensive economic development strategy. We update it annually. That has all the projects from all the communities throughout the entire 5-county region. We use that a lot whenever we're going after different grants that we're going out for, and it just is a good way of showing regional projects. We always help out communities with small planning, and that way they can do planning on wastewater or downtown revitalization, just other types of planning. On infrastructure, I'll highlight Shoals, help getting wastewater treatment funding for them. And then also Green County EDA, there was 2.9 million that we got for them. What that's doing is water for the technology park up at Crane. And so that's needed for the first phase of all the development that's happening up there. On public facilities, you know, we've done a lot over in Vincennes, helping them out, but, you know, a lot of our work has been Martin County, the Shoals Library, the Lagodi Park Pavilion, and then Lagodi Country Court is working on some of those ready projects that we've been doing. I know Michelle's kept busy on those. We've been working a lot in defense industry. And so we've helped doing the military compatibility handbook. What we found is that the base can't apply for funds because they're the base, but they need a government entity to apply for those funds on their behalf. So SIDC is a government entity. We can apply for those types of planning dollars that they want to see on their behalf. So we've done that military compatibility handbook, the legislative recommendations for military communities. We've done a study on the town of Crane on the history of them and their wastewater issues that they continue to plague them. We're now into an engineering study getting done, so they're gonna have 100% engineered plan when we're all done with it that we can use to go out to bid if we want to fix the problems out there on the wastewater, go after additional grants, funding, and that kind of stuff. So we see light at the end of the tunnel for getting the town of Crane off of the base's wastewater treatment system. We've done housing resiliency, and that study's out there. Really what it looked at is what are the opportunities in the region for housing? How can we look at housing in a different manner? And how do we get developers into the region? And so we had specific training that was geared at getting developers to grow from 1 or 2 homes a year to 10 homes a year to 100 homes a year and kind of scale them up that way. As well, we did the military installation resiliency review, which some of the EMS that was here participated in the tabletop exercise that was done up at the West Gate and kind of brought a lot of the EMSs from all the 5-county area to kind of look at what would happen in an emergency event that would be going on. And then worked closely with USTF as they went after that congressional direct spending. That's a $17 million project. And that's been funded, and so we're going to utilize that for the wastewater treatment plant up there in the tech park. So we are growing up there. On the housing side, you know, to highlight Martin County is that Lagodi's Behind the Wire project where, you know, they've created some recovery housing there. I think they'll have another project that they'll want to do once they figure out where's the next location. But, you know, it has been a success for them. Currently we're doing projects in Bloomfield, Mitchell, and Lawrence. So we've got 19 houses in Bloomington, 19 houses in Mitchell, and 21 houses in Lawrence County. So we go in, do roofs, electrical systems, water heaters, HVAC, and then ramps. And then this has been new. We've been doing radon. And, you know, the thing that we've been surprised with is like 30% of the homes that we're going into has radon. So it's higher than you think in this region. So pay attention to that with your own residences. But projects that we've been working on in the past, we had Lagodi, owner occupied rehab, where we did six houses there. And then Martin County, where we did 9 houses in Martin County with the HPG funds. And then in the future, we're going to be looking at Linton and Vincennes as our next applications. We try and spread that around to different counties and then circle back around whenever we can. We do brownfields. So we've been working on our EPA brownfield assessments. And so those programs have kind of come to fruition with the funding that we have for assessment there. But total leverage was about $13 million off of like $400,000 in grants and funds being put towards, you know, cleanup of different sites in the area. I just give you a listing of some of the sites that we've worked on in the past. You know, you can peruse that as you want. You know, we would love to have a real solution on the new tap in Shoals.
Wouldn't we
So
all?
everyone in this room, right? But it, you know, it's grants are not timely. And so I think we're getting outpaced on finding a grant for the new tap. We do some historic preservation grants. Those have mainly been in Vincennes. And then traffic counting, we do traffic counts every year. Those are put out for the counties to take a look at, helps you make decisions on where you want to spend it, spend your county dollars. Of course, if you ever want counts done anywhere within the county, let us know. As long as it's not on a highway, we can set those, so.
Thank you.
And then, help communities with asset management assistance. That's always, some of our smaller communities always need a little bit of guidance on that. So that they can do the community crossings funding. And then we get into a lot of our regional efforts. So the regional land bank is one of those. The Crane Defense Community Infrastructure Program application, that'll be going in June in order to try and get additional funding to do the construction for the town of Crane for their wastewater there. It's included in the 17 million defense or the congressional direct spending bill, but we're trying to kind of, if we can free up more money in that congressional direct spending, we may be able to get more work done out of the park. And that's a really good project to see if we can't get the Department of Defense to pay for it. And then just talked to EDA this afternoon, and they would like us to do a water tower up in the tech park. So we're gonna try and put a project together to get a water tower in the tech park, which will probably be 4 million. And we're also looking to try and do a defense training facility and do that regional, see what we can get put together. I think we've got to get some more trust among some of the companies up there that they could train in a facility together, not share secrets and that kind of stuff to happen. But, I think we can work towards that. So, of course, we do all of our work with Westgate at Crane. We help them daily on whatever issues that they've got going on. We still do the finances for them, and I handle a lot of their administrative work. We sit on many of the ROI quality of place teams, housing, innovation, daycare, behavioral health. Like the daycare is the one that's kind of like popping up more and more, is like, how do we figure out a way of creating daycare incentives in the region? Because I think that's our next crisis of all these new jobs are coming to the area. How are we gonna handle the daycare issue that goes along with it? Of course, I'm on the steering committee for the White River Military Coordination Alliance. That's been a fruitful organization. I'm also on the regional planning councils. So it's there's 16 regional planning commissions throughout the state of Indiana. SIDC is one of those. We work with them to cover the entire state and then try and help programs come to the regional planning commission so we can dole them out to the different counties. I sit on PACE's board. I think really I'll look at one of the things you may be interested in is Brown, Owen, Monroe are trying to set up their own regional planning commission. So it would be another planning commission to the north of us there, so. Third page, we're just talking about future projects, things that we got going on. Boggs has asked us to look at trying to help them with some facilities there. Shoals has got a water project. We anticipate Lakota recovery housing. And then more projects with the Greene County Regional Sewer District and also the Greene County Eastern Heights water utilities there for the tech park. And then we're going to be applying with the Indiana Uplands Regional Land Bank to try and get more brownfield assessment funding. We find that the brownfield is a really good economic development tool for those kind of brownfield assessments and holding property and that kind of stuff. So altogether, not putting in the congressional direct spending, $18,711,911 of grant funding that's come to the counties, our region, because of work SIDC's done and partnerships that we've had throughout our 5-county area. So for every dollar you're putting into SIDC, you're getting about $113 in return. So,
Fantastic.
yeah,
And it's a
so
big deal, especially up at Westgate. I mean, I know there's a lot going on up there.
There's a lot going on, and it takes the whole team. I mean, it really is. It's USDF, ROI, Radius, and our agencies really working together to make sure everything is, no balls being dropped, every plate spinning, yeah. So it's pretty great. But that's SIDC. I mean, one of the big items that we've endeavored on with the SIDC has been the Indiana Uplands Regional Land Bank. So 2.5 years ago, we got some ready funds in order to stand up the land bank. And I'm still getting used to that term. I don't like the term land bank because it makes people think someone coming in to take your property. That's what banks do sometimes, right? That's not what we do. We're trying to acquire property in a legal means, through donation, through tax sales, through commissioner sales. But we do it in a manner, that allows us to take on some of the worst properties in our communities and then turn those into, properties that are paying taxes again. That would be nice. But also help create, additional housing for our region, and not housing where you have to, spend money on moving the infrastructure to get to that housing. It's already set in place. So right now, the land bank, we're at 20 total properties. So 14 are owned, 3 that are under a renovation contract, and then 3 that are in that tax sale kind of limbo that you live with in the tax sale process, where you're waiting to take ownership of the property, and it takes a year for that to go through, and then another almost 6 months to get final title on it. What's important about the land bank, I think, is that the renovation contracts that we have. And so once a property is cleaned up and we're trying to get it into the hands of a developer or someone that wants to build a home or build an apartment, we hold their feet to the fire that they're gonna do what they say they're gonna do. They have to tell us what their plan is. We check their finances. We check that they're gonna be able to deliver on that project. And if they don't, the property reverts back to the land bank, and then that way we can go find another developer to take on that property. So that's really important to be able to just make sure properties don't sit again, right? We've been hiring local contractors for yard maintenance, cleanup, inspection work, title work, surveys, demolition, tree removal, even builders and developers. And so we've got roughly 73,000 in contracts that have been awarded to local contractors. And we've also got another 43,000 in demolition to date that we've done. And we've got another 115,000 in demolition that's gonna happen in 2026. So we're rocking and rolling there. It's nice to hire local folks to do it. And it really has been like some really small companies that have benefited from the land bank that way. We've paid back 35,000 in property taxes. So, the county's given the land bank $15,000 total over that 2.5 year time frame. There's been $35,000 returned from, whenever we take over a tax sale property, we have to pay the taxes off of it. Plus, going forward, we've got 20 properties. We're gonna be paying taxes on that 25, 26 year taxes that'll come due on it, because we can't ask for an exemption until that kind of goes through. So we at least will make one tax payment on that as a not-for-profit. But our real goal is to try and turn that back over as fast as possible into a private development. That way they're paying the taxes, not the land bank. Of the properties that have been acquired, the assessed value has been roughly $564,000. And then we're estimated to generate $3,675,000 off of those properties. And so that's a 6.5 times return on that assessed value that goes to making sure you have money to do what you want to do with it. And then we're also, which is kind of the coolest project I think we may have going on, is partnering with Martin County Redevelopment Commission. And we're gonna try and build a home. So I didn't think we would be at the point 2.5 years in where we might be able to try and build a home. And so that's very cool. So, our grant dollars kind of run out in September. So we're trying to have that up in place by September. A lot of lessons learned with the land bank. There's no two properties are the same. They're all headaches, and it just takes a consistent, concerted effort in order to get these properties cleaned up. It really does take a lot of legwork. There's no easy strategy, and there's no systematic approach that works every time. Properties are taking 9 to 18 months to get in a good time. Get to a clean deed.
I will say Bobby's been a very good advocate for you guys, so.
Well, yeah, she's the best. The best thing Glen Bank ever did was hire Bobby. She's been the exact right person to have the experience of knowing the county's processes. And how to deal with, researching properties and liens and whatever else is going on. And yeah, as you can see, we've been doing great things, and we've been very busy on all these properties. Most land banks take 7 years before they're up and going and doing this amount of projects. And most take 3 years before they own their first piece of property. So we're at 20 and we're at 2.5 years. A lot goes out to that grant. I mean, it's just been a godsend for being able to get the organization up and running and started. So, but doing the right thing and doing things the right way, meaning getting inspections, following the legal processes, ensuring the environmental remediation of the sites so that there's not a problem later on for the next owner, lien removal. It's always the most expensive and time consuming way of doing things, but it's the right way of doing it. And we're helping, draw a line in the sand for those pieces of property so that they, when they move forward with clean titles and clean bill of health on the properties. Code enforcement is always critical. I think that's probably where we're going to be emphasizing in the future is making sure that the code enforcement is happening, because that's your pipeline for projects getting into the commissioner sales, tax sales, things in the future. Plus, it doesn't allow your neighborhoods to erode whenever you make an investment in building a new home or cleaning up a piece of property or a demolition that happens. So we see that as being a big issue. And then the other thing that I may just need to get a coalition of my counties to go to legislators and try and talk about, but trying to inhibit some of the LLCs and venture capital groups that are purchasing property. They are absolutely manipulating the system. They're keeping the properties out of the hands of locals that could be doing something with the properties. And they buy the properties, and then they're fine with holding the properties. And what they really want to have happen is for someone to redeem those properties. Because what happens is they get a guaranteed return, whether it's 5%, 7%, 10%, if it goes the full year, they'll get a 10% return on the dollars that they invest in those properties. It's a manipulation of the system. And what it does is it just keeps locals from being able to buy those properties and do something with them. They hold them, they bid against each other. They just don't care because they want that to be redeemed and make the interest off of it. So, and then what it is, just puts it back in the process for 2 years later. So I think it's an underlying issue that we have to work on. I said earlier that land bank's a good conduit for economic development and brownfield properties. Like, I think one of the best examples of, we've been working on the Hartsburg property that's up in Davies County, that's near the town of Crane there, that gas station there. So because the land bank was willing to take ownership, the property owner trusted the people at SIDC. They've seen us and known us throughout the years. They were willing to negotiate with us on purchasing the property. You're able to get the property. Now we've got Indiana Finance Authority that's going to come in and put roughly $260,000 in cleaning up the site for the petroleum on it. And we're trying to leverage another ROI clearance grant to do the demolition on the site so that we can, yeah, have a clear sight, right? That's in our tech park. That makes the tech park look bad. So, we see that as being a big benefit, and then you start marketing that corner. So all that to be said is, we think we've been a success. We think we've worked our butts off.
Have been.
And we've done a lot in 2.5 years. The grant's running out in September. And so it really does fall on how do we move forward without grant funding in order to continue to have success with the land bank. So, you know, what I'm saying is there'll be an ask. We'll come, we'll ask. What I think that ask will be is around $50,000. And what we hope is that in the meantime, is we can try and look at partners in the area, foundations, redevelopment commissions, banks, and see if we can't lower that number for an annual cost to the counties. But I think that would be the number that we would need in order to keep this momentum going. And then we would also, on top of that, seek other grants to maybe bolster the funds of the land bank. So, but just want to make you aware.
Big deal going on.
Yeah, I really do think we're doing the right thing. I don't know that, I think we're ahead. For once, we are ahead of other parts of the state in what we're doing for infill development. You know, let's hope we can survive until the rest of the state catches up and more legislation's passed and things like that. So,
Not be an idiot, but is there like a northern NIDC? I mean, is that, how popular is this?
there's other regional planning commissions in the state, but none of them really have a land bank attached to them. There are other land banks attached, but they're typically one county. We're the unique situation where we're working this as a region.
I think we got in at the right time.
Really did, and we're making some hay in Martin County. It's slow, it's gonna be slow, but if we can get to where we're streamlining things to maybe where we could do more donations, and gain enough trust with the taxpayers that if a property goes to the land bank, that it's going to be a good project, a good outcome for the rest of the county, and those developers are still gonna get a chance at that property. You know, we're not keeping anyone from those properties. They're gonna get a chance at it, but after it's been cleaned up. That's the point, so. Okay,
Very impressive presentation, yes.
May I
Yes,
ask a
sir.
couple questions?
You may, sir.
Not
mhm,
picking on you. You say it's gonna be a $50,000 ask, is that per county or is
that's
that,
per county,
okay?
yeah.
And then you have 20 total properties, so.
Yeah.
Everything's local. How many in Martin County?
What's the number in Martin County? Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
You know, that's how it
Let's
goes.
get started though.
We're getting started, yeah,
We have a couple counties with less and
yeah.
counties with more, and it's just how it worked out.
Honestly, it's when we get the counties that want to donate properties to the land bank where things move the fastest. And that really falls on willingness to do that, right?
The one across the bridge, Bobby, what kind of time frame are you thinking of now?
The one for Shoals.
Mhm.
I'm hoping
You had a.
to break ground soon.
I thought you had.
The goal is by the end of the year to have it complete, if not beforehand.
Right.
It
I
just
thought-
depends on how everything comes together.
Good.
But hopefully within 6 months,
Anything would be an improvement, so.
we'll be going. Really
Yeah.
excited about this project.
And I mean, we take the proceeds, we roll it back into the land bank in order to make sure Bobby gets
For the next
paid.
one.
But also, what's the next project? And it'll never be fully self-sustaining that way. I mean, the properties we're taking on, everyone's gonna be upside down in them if they take them on. We're just doing it as a service, and doing it in partnership with the counties and cities, so.
Well, thank you. It was a wonderful
Yeah, great.
presentation.
Thanks for all you guys
Yes,
do, both of
thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
Included in your packet too, there's some pictures, this was before and after, which is pretty amazing, the difference that we're making on the cleaning up the properties.
Yeah,
Thank you, appreciate what you do.
yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Mayor,
Yeah,
what you got for us?
well, we have been discussing at the city. Excuse me. I'm asking everybody to get here so they can be. Do I need to kind of stand or?
You said, it's fine.
Okay. We have been looking at upgrading our radios there at the city for the fire department stuff, and we upgraded some radios for the police department, I think 2 years ago. And we still have issues with communications, you know, when you go north of Lagodi in the Crane area, which we service, and there's other areas that are dead spots and stuff. So we've been searching on trying to come up with a solution. I know this was talked about many, many years ago too, but kind of just want to put this out there and think about it and get some people together, but looking at doing a central dispatching. You know, we pay a person to dispatch right now, during the week, and then the county takes it over. We pay the county for that service, so we're duplicating services that are already being rendered. And, you know, right now, I was just figuring out before I got up here, you know, we're paying $60,494 and some odd cents for one person. The time, well, 12,000 of that goes to the county for dispatching. So, you know, when you look at the whole, you're looking at $60,500 almost that we're paying on same service. Actually, it'd be what, 50 some thousand, take off 12,000, so you know, so we're looking at the possibilities of what it would take and seeing about, you know, the civil defense building. It does have the capabilities of being set up for essential dispatch. That was one of the things when that building was built. And I've got my I got my assistant fire chief here with me tonight too, and another member off the fire department, also my police chief of police. And they can explain a little bit, but we are looking, you know, we're fortunate. We had Christy Risk help us on some radios. We are getting 20 radios now for the fire department, but we need 30 some. So I mean, it's a start, but it's still not gonna fix the problem. The one thing we have, I think, we need to make sure that the sheriff's department, town of Shoals, EMT service, Lagodi Fire and Police and whatever, you know, all have the same type of systems on the same systems, so we can communicate very well and not, I mean, it's just public safety at its best, and where we're at now, it's at its worst, or could be. And, you know, I know it's gonna cost us some money. There's a lot of planning that has to be done. We're not looking at doing something like this tomorrow or next month. I mean, it would be nice if we can get everything together and have a start date of January 1, 2027, but we don't even know if that's possible, because we don't know we're still working out some intricate parts, and we still gotta get a meeting together with everybody to see if it's something that's doable, if everybody's willing to, you know. I'd rather see us take that $60,000 that we have and let our dispatcher go in for central dispatch, still pay the other money, and you know, and we have to work out. The other thing I'd like to see happen, and I don't know if it's doable, but is we do have 6 trustees for the county. And I know I don't know what the balances are on all them. I know we have 3 of them that are sitting on some pretty good balances, or at least they were. But I would feel like that would be something that we could approach the trustees and say, hey, you know, can you give $30,000-$40,000 of that money every year to help fund this, so it's not such a big burden on the county? Because if you pull a central dispatch out, yes, you're gonna need more. You're gonna need a couple people at the county jail to still help with the jail services that's there if you pull dispatch out of there. So just wanted to bring that forward. I would like to ask my police chief to come up, and then the fire department. They can kind of give you a real quick summary of some of the issues that they have and have had over the time. So it kind of lets everybody know what's going on. So Martin County, we need to get up to the era. I know we're in 2026, but we need to be prepared to go into 2030 or 2040, and this is part of it, and. You know, I think we got enough connections and people in the state that told us we can apply for grants here and there, so. And they would help us out, so, you know, I think it's doable, but we just gotta get the plan together and see where we're at and what it's gonna cost. Cause it's not, you know, it's gonna be expensive venture.
I've heard the same complaint for probably, well, 5 or 6 years. And, just people involved in the process, which would be those guys. And, but completely understand. I don't know about the EMS building, I don't know how much room they would have over there down, you know, down the road, but I mean, you're not the first person to say there's been issues, so.
When I was in office from 2000 to 2003, we talked about it then, so it's been a long time.
You guys have good communications with the sheriff's
So I'm
office?
gonna step aside and, you know, that's the one thing too is right now, you know, I came and talked one time about getting pass downs from the sheriff's department, and we're still not getting them. It's been a year.
Hell, I'd just like an inmate count, Brian,
Do what?
I'd just like an inmate count sometime, but.
Well, pass downs are pertinent to the work that these guys are doing because it, you know, it keeps them abreast of what the cases are and what's going on. And if they don't know of an incident or something like that, they could walk into something not even realizing it. So it's very important that
Need to be
our
communication.
department gets our pass downs, but we can't currently get them from current personnel here.
Completely
So if
understand.
there's anything you can help out on that, would greatly appreciate it.
Okay,
So, but I'll let, which one of you two gentlemen wanna come up, or three gentlemen wanna come up?
thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
In case you're elected. Appointed, elected, yes.
Case Cummings, the Chief of Police from Lagodi.
Meet you, Case.
How are you? One of the biggest things we see is it becomes a communication issue. I know you asked, we have communications with the sheriff's office. It's more communication between interagencies when we're out working certain jobs. Like, for example, today, situation where, sorry, do you have a question?
No, I read the pass down today, or not the pass down, but the log today, and you guys were over here for a call last week, so.
Yes, yeah. So I mean, that's one of those things that we do try to communicate, and some of the officers, like when we're working together, we can communicate back and forth on 800 radios. However, the central dispatch would help in the sense, like specifically today, we worked an accident where there was a hit and run, something common, but could be a very minor incident. However, it becomes a major incident when I'm dispatched by the county, which is completely fine because that's where the 911 call went. That's where all your 911 calls are gonna go, or our dispatch center here in Shoals. What happens is when they dispatch me, then they have to relay that information to our dispatcher if they're working during the day, like if it's daytime, then they have to page out our fire department. Well, we talk about radios unless I'm standing right next to these guys on scene, we can't communicate. So, and even when we do communicate, or we attempt to, it becomes a static issue. It's not clear cut. So it does become a safety concern. But I think my biggest thing would be it would cut down on some of the initial, like the mayor said, it's going to be an expense up front. But I think if we can figure out where that money is going to come from, it's going to save us in the long run. And it's going to save potential lives down the road, not just officers, not just EMS personnel and firefighters, but we're talking about what's best for the community and the county. I think that's going to be your biggest thing. I think you're going to see better quality of service. Now, I know there's going to have to be individuals that come in and, you know, there are certain stipulations or requirements when you come to a central dispatch, certain training, certain numbers of staffing that have to actually be on site at that certain time. So obviously there's going to have to probably be some staff that's hired. You know, I know right now that falls under the sheriff. Not trying to necessarily take something away from him, but I know other agencies or other counties in the state, they go under like a 911 advisory board. I've actually missed a couple phone calls since we've been in here in the meeting, just kind of waiting, that I'm trying to get more information from other individuals that I know and I've worked closely with, so we can get more information to better detail what we need to, what requirements we need to get prepared for this. But that being said, it comes down to an advisory board. That advisory board, just off the top of the cuff, would be chief of police, the sheriff. So it'd be a board, it wouldn't be one person that has a say so. Chief of police, sheriff, like the Shoals Town Marshal, So you have all head administrators from law enforcement, like the mayor, a county commissioner would be on it. Someone from like either the Board of Works or the city council, and then you have the potential for every fire chief or their designee to actually come in and sit on this advisory board. That way we're not, and like even like EMS director, it's not a situation where just one person comes in and says, this is what we're gonna do and this is why, because I feel like it. It's something that we all can collaborate together and figure out what's best for the county and best for us as a whole, so we can make the best overall decision.
Not to interrupt you, I do have a question.
By all means.
So if you get a call, or if they get a call,
They meaning,
maybe 911, the sheriff's office.
okay,
You guys aren't all on the same page? And I'm not, that's nothing
So,
against you. I'm
now on my, yeah,
shocked.
so on my radio, we, on 800 frequency, which is what the sheriff's office operates off of as well. We're on our 800 law channel.
I don't need to hear the
No, you're,
radio traffic, but I mean, you guys
So,
need to, or.
what happens is like our fire department only has so many 800s to go around. And some of that's based on like
They're expensive.
our towers and things too. Yes, they are expensive. But it comes down to, no, essentially the long and the short of it, it's no, we aren't all able to communicate.
Safety issue,
Yes.
obviously, so.
So if I'm out working, like today, we were at 2 different locations for this hit and run. We found the vehicle that left the scene. They were at one area, and then myself and the fire department are at a different location with the victim that got hit. So luckily they were right next to me. I'm able to communicate with them, but I've got another Lagodi officer and a state trooper that are asking me to ask them questions or trying to relay information to EMS.
Answer.
Well, they have to communicate with me for us to go to them, and that may take away from other life safety
Time.
situations, time. And sometimes in these situations, if there was a medical issue as a result of this accident or, heavy traffic, it becomes a life safety issue. So I know there's different 800 frequencies you can use. You can use like an 800 law frequency, you have 800 EMS, like there's different ones we can designate, but that just becomes maybe the turn of a channel compared to like the way our radios, if I have to switch to a different bank, and it takes time.
I
So,
can't speak for the other two, but I mean, there's absolutely no reason you guys shouldn't be on the same page.
I agree.
Yeah.
You get in a high-speed chase or,
Mhm.
over the weekend,
Yeah.
there was an issue. I mean, surely, I would hope, everybody's in communication.
Yes. Well, and in situations like that, like they do, like, how Deputy Droke and Officer Purcell with Lagodi, they were able to step over and they radio our dispatch, which they're supposed to. Our dispatch communicates with DuBois County Dispatch, and that's the way we're able to communicate. But even as a whole, like our officers can talk, but say that resulted in an accident and our firefighters got on scene. I can't speak with 100% surety, but I don't believe even all of our fire departments work off just like even 800s. So like even for them to communicate, depending on where they're at, they may not even be able to communicate. And in a smaller community and in the county that we live in, it becomes an issue where we rely on mutual aid. Just like you said, you saw that Lagodi PD was over at, or sorry, one of us was over helping in Shoals. Like,
That was the only name on the call. was
Yes.
LPD responded.
I'm
Yeah.
Nathan Matthias with the fire department on 14 years, so just to back off of just this exact instance right here. We got called with that hit and run, so if they had somebody that was violent with a gun or something like that, and we're approaching the scene, we would never have any clue that that's going on. Number two, even if that was related to our dispatch and our dispatch relayed that to us, once you get about 2 miles outside of town, you can't hear that on a VHF radio. So unless you are on top of the scene, you can't hear that. Our radios are not the issue. The mayor and the city council has done an awesome job of getting us some radios and helping us with funding. That's not the issue. And I could give you 100 examples and be here all night, but I'm not gonna do that. So I think you guys understand, the issues and everything.
One thing I want to add is what Case brought up a minute ago is that right now, if a 911 comes in, it goes to the county, then it has to be dispatched to our dispatcher. You're losing valuable time there from that transmission to get to where we need to be. And if we had a central dispatch, that's gonna speed that up because, like I said, you don't know what it is exactly, but seconds can make the difference of a life. And the time you get that transmission from the county and you're probably, a minute or two, to get everything,
By
get
the
all the
time-
information, to
By the
get
time you
your
get all the,
dispatch
yes,
back
by the
out.
time you get all the information, because you can give, like, you can give initial information, hey, there was a hit and run and stand by for more. But to get into the nitty gritty of some of the specifics you need to know going in there to make sure you're safe, make sure first responders are safe. That may be the difference too, and whether they're gonna stage outside of a scene or if they're gonna be able to go in if it's a safety issue. So I think this way, like I said, it's gonna cut down on some time with dispatching. It's gonna allow our records to be better maintained. It's gonna allow us the option down the road for potentially available for not only law enforcement, but EMS and fire to even apply for more grants, because there's a bigger accountability system too with central dispatch and, you know, all the systems that go along with that.
And the other thing with Westgate getting bigger, and it's gonna keep going bigger and bigger. You need to be prepared for what's going on up there. You don't know what's gonna happen and stuff like that. I mean, they're outside the base. You don't know if there could be any type of protest or terrorist or anything like that, but you know, that's something we need to look at in the future. Instead of getting caught behind, we need to start looking ahead, being proactive on this. And like I said, we're gonna trying to get a bunch more information, what it would cost and stuff, what we need. And I know probably should have started this first of the year, but budgets start in July. So,
I've,
you know,
like I said, I've heard this same complaint for 4 or 5 years, and everybody says, well, it costs too much money. Nobody has magic wand to make that happen, but I mean, if somebody goes down, you know, I mean, because of lack of communication, it don't matter how much money it costs, so
well, I had a meeting
it's
with a
worth
couple,
looking into and
couple
trying
of
to figure
guys.
something out.
And one of Senator Banks' representative, he was starting to throw out there, well, there's possibility grants here and this and there, you know, so. You know, it said Christie Rist stepped out and helped us on this other one, so. There's monies out there. I think it's just a matter of finding the right people and the right organizations to get it. May not get it all, but at least, you know, whatever we can get, so. And the other thing is, you know, I mentioned the trustees, but the other part would be if we do something up there with Westgate is to have them kick in as well too.
Now, I'm not
Yeah.
picking on the trustees, but that's a Harpin thing. It went with the ambulance service. It'd have been great if they would have kicked in. I mean, at some
But,
point.
I think it's something that they really need to be hit on and say, hey, let's pony up. So, but I know at one time between three of them, there was over $1 million just sitting there not being spent.
Completely agree,
So-
Mayor.
That could be used in a lot of places.
Completely agree.
So step, I think.
And I know you said like, it is gonna be a lot of money. I mean, but there are grants out there that can help either fund that or even
I
supplement
think
that.
when it started, the equipment would maybe be the money, but the big money.
Yeah,
I'm
and
just guessing.
And there's gonna be additional fees, like I said, with having to have manpower, because a fully operational 911 center you have to have at least 2 fully functioning operators at every time. So obviously there's gonna be an increase in jobs and wages and benefits, things of that nature. But I think my biggest thing too, and I think we've discussed it amongst ourselves, just in trying to prepare for this, it's gonna cost a certain dollar amount now, but if we wait till something bad happens, then we try to figure out what that dollar amount's gonna be. Things are only getting more expensive. So if we try to wait and then just have to upfit things as we go, you know, along compared to having to start from scratch and then upfit everything,
I'm asking a dumb question, but is that like something, that would be a David question, but is that something like the community foundation could possibly, if we applied for some kind of grant, or you guys or us or both applied for some kind of grant like that, is that something like that they could help up with?
The foundation, my understanding, they're always open to proposals. Then they have to evaluate
I would say.
the value of each proposal presented, so.
I'd say get a group together and go talk to them and get the ball started, at least figure out, you know, starting point, but there's no reason you guys shouldn't be in constant communication.
We can talk to this guy too.
well, that's what, yeah,
There's different grants that you can look at, to try and get started on this. One of the things you also may want to look at, you may not be aware of, is that the Westgate Crane was approached at their last board meeting by the Navy NCIS and was trying to express a lot of the threats that are potentially popping up, especially with all the new companies coming in. So they are going to start looking at what kind of security detail they need for the Westgate Crane. That may be where there's a partnership where some of the county officials could be paid for doing work up at the Westgate Crane. And that, I think that would be an avenue to explore as well. The basic crane doesn't have the same radios. And so the basic crane can't communicate with everybody else. They should be able to. And that's been a long-standing issue. They get their radios out of the Great Lakes region, I think. So they don't even really decide on what that is. But it would be nice to also tie them in some way into this system. So just had a couple points there. That I
Thank
wanted to-
you.
Yeah, great.
Are there any questions you had for us?
No,
Yeah.
wonderful information. Yeah, and our ultimate goal is to keep everyone safe. So appreciate that, we'll.
Well, and I appreciate, like, I think
Been
my
a
thing
long
is,
time coming too.
well, and it is, and this is just the baseline part of information. I think, like I said, I've got a couple phone calls, that I'm gonna return after this meeting to start working to get and meet these goals. I think it is gonna take a lot, and like I said, whether it be grants or, different, individuals or entities in the county that have to, I guess, for lack of a better term, pony up some of the money for this. It's gonna be a situation that, there's gonna have to be somebody or several people that take off and go start running with this.
And I
So,
think it needs to happen sooner than later, 'cause
Yeah.
with the people that we have in right now, they're pretty ambitious. With us, with Case and our fire chief, Eric Thomas, and the mayor and everything, we've got a lot done in the last year. So,
well, and we talk about even the radio traffic, like there's different ways for us to even be able to communicate officer wise for safety. That way we can leave the air open for emergency situations too. So it just, having a central dispatch would definitely, it's a huge safety concern. I mean, that's the biggest thing. And I've seen it firsthand at different agencies that I've worked for, that it is tremendous for all individuals involved, and it makes things a lot easier.
and I'll say too, I don't know if you, what your turnover is with your dispatchers, but when you have separate dispatch and you have people complaining that this person, they don't wanna work here. So if you get them together, you're gonna keep those people, and they're gonna want the benefits, and they're gonna wanna stay.
Good point.
I mean, so.
So we'll keep looking, but like I said, we just want to put this out there so you guys know what we're pushing for and what we're hoping to obtain and what our goal is. So if there's ever any questions, feel free to ask.
Yeah, to help both communities. I mean, it's.
Both, the county as a whole, it will help everything, yes. So, and like you mentioned, even if Crane can't actually communicate directly to me, all they have to do is make one phone call instead of, well, we're gonna call county dispatch, and the county has to relay it to my office and then go from there. It's very simple to notify one agency, and then they can put an all call out for everybody. It's just, in the long-term planning of things, it's going to save lives.
Appreciate you gentlemen coming, and yes,
Completely
it's
agree.
very important.
Yep. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you for
Thank
what
you.
you do. Be safe. Andy, do you have anything for us?
No, not today, other than
Greg.
address and everything they had today.
All right.
I got a meeting.
Dave, you got anything for us tonight?
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
The commissioners advertised for proposals for some renovation or construction over at the recycling building, to build 2 offices and renovate another. It was advertised for proposals to be submitted, I forget the date. And then the request for proposals stated that the Board of Commissioners would look at those proposals and make a decision and select one of those, select a proposing party to begin negotiations with for that project. There were 2 proposals received from 2 entities. I have provided those to each of the commissioners to look at. So at this point, the Board of Commissioners can either decide to proceed and select one of those parties, or can table it, or just drop the project.
I would cover your 2 proposals very well. think for what we're wanting, I like the first option. I'd like to move forward, make a motion to move forward. I don't want to say the name unless you tell me I can.
Well, there were two, I'll state, there were two proposals from, one was from, Jack's Construction out of, they use the Montgomery address, and the other Streets Contracting. The specifications provided for, the proposal for construction and also to obtain subcontractors to take care of, plumbing, HVAC, electrical and such. So, that's what the specifications required, along with some other matters. So, that's what was asked for.
I'd like to make a motion for,
Let me
Go ahead.
make one comment. I've also reviewed them and compared them to the specifications that were published. And I have concerns that one of the proposals does not answer the specifications. So as such, I would recommend to the Board of Commissioners that the commissioners not consider the proposal from Jack's Constructions, because I don't believe it's responsive.
Right.
I do believe the Streets Contracting is responsive. There is a dollar figure with this, but at this point, if the commissioners decide to proceed with one of these entities, this is to begin negotiations. It's not a final decision, but, so that's, I just want to make sure and publicly state that, so.
I'd like to make a motion for David, or whoever he puts to it, to begin talks and negotiations with Streets Contracting.
I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Dave, I know you spent a lot of time on that, so.
I do believe that somebody from the commissioners needs to be involved in this, because it's your building. So,
All right, thank you.
I have full faith in these people, but yes, I need some.
so I'll notify them and start the procedure then.
Okay, thank you.
Let's get that going. That'd be great.
That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Michelle.
Yep, two things here, Danielle Murphy, the communications director, couldn't be here tonight, but, she wanted to present to you guys she's getting ready to submit grants, for the Martin County Community Corrections, to the state, and she just, would like a letter, from the commissioners just of support in filing those yearly grants. So it's the community corrections grant for fiscal year 27 and then jail treatment for fiscal year 27. So she's asking for a support letter.
We do this usually every year, so I'll make a motion to approve the Mark County Communications and the jail treatment plan grants to try to get.
I'll second that. All in favor? Aye.
You can sign one of them. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Next, I was contacted by the Shoals Public Library. They would like to appoint Mary E. Holt to the Shoals Public Library Board, for a term beginning April 1st this year, ending December 31st of 2029 for a 4-year term. She is the current bookkeeper, treasurer. She's getting ready to retire from that position, so she'd like to move on to the board.
She's been very dedicated over there, which
She
said every
has.
day, so
She has.
make a motion to approve Mary Holt for the library appointment.
Aye.
She does a great job.
I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next, for my office, we got a copier in a couple weeks ago. We're very happy with it, works very well, but So the council and the commissioners had approved that, so I appreciate that, but as part of that, which I believe I mentioned that there is a maintenance agreement and it is lower than the former maintenance agreement we had on the other copier, so I'm just asking for approval if you guys would approve the maintenance agreement for that.
Motion, Dave? Motion on that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Motion
I do
to
recommend.
approve the auditor's copy or maintenance agreement.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Just,
Four people in here wore green today, so. Andy, is that on purpose?
Do what?
Said four people wore green today. Is that on purpose?
Yeah, somewhat, it is.
It's on-
I heard it on the radio when I was driving to work this morning. I thought, well,
I'm not
I'm
Irish,
not turning around, so. It'll be good luck though.
I even have the shamrock for the 4-H.
I believe that's all I have.
All right. Mary, do you have anything for us this evening?
Just a quick question, about the renovations,
Mhm.
For the building. The bids that were received, did they get their information from an architect? Did the county have an architect draw plans for them to bid on?
Dave?
No, I drew up the specifications. I consulted with somebody in construction and construction / remodeling that helped me draw up the basically the drawing is to build 2 offices and renovate the little office that's already in there. And also renovate the restroom that's in that building to make it ADA compatible. So,
And we'd all looked at that
Mhm.
property several months ago with David and we were all in agreement, so. We gotta get some room somewhere, so.
No, well, I was just asking.
No, no.
if An architect.
No, that's,
Had drawn their plans or given
I
plans.
don't wanna jinx this, but I think it'll be a pretty smooth job. I mean, the structure's already there, the insult, you know. So hopefully it goes smooth and quickly.
Thank you for asking.
Thank you. Update on the library, Mary.
Don't have anything to add.
Okay,
Just
it looks good. I've been by there. It looks
Took a
good.
tour last week. It was
Yeah.
awesome. Looks really
It
nice,
is.
way different, so.
Thank you. Diana, do you have anything for us this evening? Okay. It's back there.
Lori,
No,
Okay.
different.
All right. No one has anything else? Next meeting will be Tuesday, March 31st at 5:30.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hmm.